I hate wasting money, especially when it comes to cameras and gear. But having spent thousands of dollars and gone through freelance, a 9 to 5 in content creation, and now trying to become a small time YouTuber, it's hard not to make a few mistakes. So in hopes that you don't make the same mistakes I do, today I'm going to be talking about the 5 pieces of gear that I'd never buy again, knowing what I know now. The first item on this list is budget storage, and particularly hard drives. Now this one for me personally is one of the most painful and expensive mistakes that I ever made, and something that I really hope you don't have to go through. At the time, I knew I needed storage for my footage because I'm kind of like a video hoarder. Comes in handy once in a while. But SSDs were really expensive, so I thought I could just save some money and buy an external hard drive and just use that instead. And while that in theory is perfectly fine, I use this as my daily driver, my everyday carry. I would take this with me when I was working at cafes. I would offload footage straight from my camera if I needed to, and I was using this every single day and taking it with me moving around a lot. Until the one day that I ended up dropping this hard drive, and I have not been able to access that hard drive ever since. And the issue with storage is the fact that you can't really put a price on the footage that's lost there. I have some of my childhood videos on there. I have footage from early 2020 when I just started making videos, so some of my earliest creations are on there, and things like memories with my girlfriend and I. But this was completely my fault and completely avoidable. So now these days I am working off of these SSDs, these SanDisk ones. I use the 2TB and 4TB ones. I just decided it's not worth going through that pain. If I were to buy hard drives again, I would have to have it stored somewhere safe where I'm not moving it often, and I know that I can be very careful with it. It's just not worth the risk. Yeah, that was a tough one. But number 2 on this list, and a little less painful, is Magic Arms. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Magic Arms. I think they open you up to so many unique shots. Anything POV that you've seen online, probably using a Magic Arm, and I use that too. But I have ones from Neewer and SmallRig. Great companies, I use all their gear, but they both have the same fundamental issue when you're going with the budget option, and that is the tightening mechanism. Both of these products kind of use the same way of tightening, and it is this rubber little pad and a screw. Now if you're using it with an iPhone, an action cam, or even a smaller camera, you're not gonna have any issues with this budget option. But the moment you put something that's a little heavier, like my Sony FX30, you run into a little bit of an issue. Because the rubber is the only thing that's preventing the camera from unscrewing itself, over time it wears down and you can't get it as tight. I found that in certain situations when I have it set up in a certain way that gravity naturally unscrews the camera, I will find that the camera gets loose over time. I believe this model doesn't have that issue. I have not personally tried it out, but I think they're a little bit more expensive. I'm assuming that this mechanism is what is fixing that issue, but I found it for both the SmallRig and the Neewer ones. Even though my camera is under the weight capacity that is listed on the specs online, I just find that it's too heavy, it just unscrews itself, and I think overall in the long term, the wear and tear from this rubber part just isn't the best solution. On top of that, if you want to have your camera straight out like this, again, the camera is just a little bit too heavy, and I will find that it will come down over time. And I think Magic Arms in particular are something that I'm willing to spend a little bit more money on, because if there's a specific shot I have in mind, if there's a unique place where I want to put my camera or a POV shot, every single time I'm going to be reaching for my Magic Arm. So having a good quality one isn't going to hurt me ever. It's going to future-proof me, and I'm going to be using it for years to come. So budget Magic Arms, not something I'd buy again. Now, any alternatives that I mentioned in this video will be included as affiliate links in the description below, so if you want to support the channel, feel free to check those out. Third on this list, for a similar reason to the Magic Arm, is this small budget tripod. Now, to be fair, I bought this tripod when I was just using a Canon M50 and this little mic setup. Everything was a little bit lighter, so it made more sense. It could hold some of the angles, and as my kit has grown, I've just kind of grown out of this tripod. Similar to the Magic Arms, the issue comes up with the tightening mechanism. It's the same ball head and tightening screw thing. Now with this new FX30 setup, it's just too heavy to handle. It can't hold the angles high or low. It also just ends up falling to the weight of the camera itself. So if you set it up a little higher, it's just gonna slowly, naturally slide down. I have to double check if my camera is at the weight capacity of it. I'm assuming not, or just over time as I've used the camera, it's gotten looser and it's just easier to move around. So that could be the issue as well. One of the reasons I wish I spent more money on this tripod is because of this one that I've seen. And there was like a huge marketing push on this tripod. I just remember when it first came out and there was like all the influencers talking about it. It's been a couple years now, but seeing it now, I feel like there are times when I just want to keep things a little bit low key. I don't want to set up my big tripod for a shot. I wish I could just place my camera down and just like have it set up really quick, or just like hook it onto something and just get the shot that I need and get out of there. Being someone that doesn't love filming in public, that's like a big thing for me, and whipping out this big ass tripod is not the most unnoticeable thing out in public. Having a small but powerful tripod that can carry my camera would be something amazing. I just don't find myself ever using this mini tripod. It's just collecting dust in my storage. If anything, I'm using it for like time lapses with my phone, which don't really happen that often. And I can also set that up on a big tripod. So that's why I would never buy a budget mini tripod again. Now, fourth on this list, and something that I've actually purchased a little bit more recently, unfortunately, is this budget car mount. Now, I'll be honest, I've only used this for one season, and I'm planning on trying it out more once Calgary actually becomes spring. It's like snowing here in April now, and I can't. For the same reason as the Magic Arm and the tripod, this suction I don't think has any issues. I think it's super strong. I really trust the suction overall, but I just don't trust the way this thing tightens. I didn't notice while I was shooting this car video, but looking back at the footage now, you can see the camera is clearly falling under the weight. Now, seeing that kind of sussed me out. Hey, she wants to be in here so bad. They were scratching and going crazy. Now, seeing that kind of sussed me out of using this one again, even though I trust the suction, but putting my two most expensive pieces on this little budget piece of plastic, I just don't know if I can do it without extra safeties. That's why I'm going to give it a try this next upcoming season. But for future reference, if I were to ever go with a car mount again, I severely underestimated the peace of mind that comes with investing into gear that keeps my most prized possession and expensive stuff safe, and only thought about the money that I was saving by going with a budget option. So while I'm going to try and make this work, would I ever sacrifice security, peace of mind for money, especially on something like a car mount? I don't think so. Never again. Now, the fifth and final item on this list, and something that I think I can confidently say with my entire chest that all creators should skip, is budget audio. And to clarify, I will say that a lot more affordable audio is way better quality than what it was back in the day. So budget options are great when the quality is actually good. But what I'm talking about is just genuinely cheap audio that absolutely sucks in terms of quality. I've spent hundreds of dollars just on audio systems alone that I don't use at all anymore. I don't even know what this one is, but this was my first wireless system. I feel like it was like $30 or $40 Canadian, and I thought, oh, this is gonna open me up to like talking away from the camera. It's gonna up my audio quality, and boy, was I wrong. This thing was a pain from start to finish. It's big, it's bulky, the quality was just not great. Using it was terrible, and yeah, unfortunately, I just have no great things to talk about in terms of this. I usually try not to like dump on products, but yeah, just something that I would never use, never recommend again. There's also a bunch of lav mics that I've gone through. I've bought cheap lav mics just in hopes that they'll work, but they just never work out. I was using them in particular for mic'd up content and volleyball, and sure, it doesn't really matter. I wasn't willing to risk using expensive ones and potentially breaking them because I sweat a lot. I just don't use this for anything else outside of that, and now that I'm not really doing that as much, just wasted money. I won't be unfair, this Rode Video Micro was actually something that I used for years, and it really worked well. The first thing that I did notice when I bought this back in 2020-ish, I did notice the white noise. And back in the day, I didn't really know how to deal with that as well. We didn't have the software that dealt with it as easily as it does now. So today, you could definitely get away with this one. I think it would work way better than I thought it did. If possible, invest in the best quality audio systems that you know will work. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know I'm not a die-hard fan for my Rode Wireless Go 2s, but that's not because of the quality. I absolutely love the quality of these mics. I just don't like how inconvenient they are when you're using them as clip-on mics. I don't like the look. If you're using it like this, the quality on these, absolutely amazing. And again, my ECM M1 mic is just one of the best shotgun mics that I've used, one of the most convenient. And had I had that option right at the start, that is where I would have invested my money, because I know that years to come, I'm not going to be switching out these audio systems too much unless something bigger and better and really worth that squeeze comes out. Because for content that I'm filming right now, these two mics will basically cover all of my bases for years to come. So in the grand scheme of things, spending that extra money to buy some quality stuff that you know is going to last is well worth it compared to just making those incremental increases in quality. So budget audio systems, never again. So that was the 5 pieces of gear that I would never buy again. I mean, I hope no one has to go through the same pain or the mistakes that I went through, but you might disagree with some of the products that I mentioned. You might genuinely love all 5 products that I mentioned and use them in the right ways. Know that there's like universal experiences that we have as gearheads, as people that make videos. And I feel like we can learn a lot from each other and these mistakes, especially when it comes to saving and not wasting money. If you're still watching at this point in the video, I feel like there's 2 options. You're either doing something else, or you really like me and my content. So I kindly ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel, because that really helps me out. I'd love to see you in the comments below. But with that, I think I'll see you guys next time.